Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to round 9. It's the penultimate round to the end of season 1 in the RSR American GTE Series. We are bringing the action today from Sonoma Racetrack, which is a real sort of gem on the calendar and quite a unique track in regards to some of the corners and the way it flows. It's a really, really good track to have these guys out on. And we are joined today by Casey, and I'm going to make it very clear, unfortunately, Casey is a little bit under the weather. So obviously, if you hear any snivels or anything like that, I'm going to apologise in advance on his behalf. But Casey, how are you feeling, mate?
I'm, for the most part, I'm doing good. Waiting for test results to come back, possible with it being COVID. But so far, everything, like I said, everything's been good so far. But I have really been looking forward to this race, so I'm going to go ahead and try and push on and do the best I can tonight. But absolutely, you mentioned this track being it's a phenomenal racetrack. I love Sonoma. It really is a driver's racetrack. It's got a lot of elevation, and it tends to be very slippery, at least in the NASCAR, any of the NASCAR series cars. But with these cars, with the downforce that they have, I'm looking to see, if there's going to be how they handle, versus Cup Series and whatnot. So
yeah, it's going to be an interesting round, and obviously we do naturally, obviously with any sort of series, we've kind of come down to these core guys that we've got remaining left, and I think one thing we're going to dive straight into it is we've got a big battle facing up for Am over the next sort of hit this round and obviously the next round. So we're with the guy now. Daniel Tenorio is currently second position in the point standings, and Daniel is, I believe, only, I'm going to say 6 points behind.
6,
so,
yeah.
I'm going to just bring up it now. So we've got two main sort of battle. Well, we've got but Jersey Glack has kind of sealed the deal on that. He's over 100 points ahead of Taylor Lane in the second. But the main battle that we're going to be focused on more than anything is this battle in Am between Daniel Tenorio and James Howard. These two guys have been going at it all season. It's come down to the penultimate round. There are 6 points between these guys. In a round, in one of these races, there is up to 100 points that are up for grabs. There's 60 in the first race and 40 in the second race if you win. So to come to it now, we've only got 6 points between them. It's one slip up, it's one mistake, it's one trip to a barrier, grass trap, whatever, and the whole season as far, 9 rounds, 2 races a night. We've done 18 races. The opportunity of scoring points, there's been 900 points that they could have scored, 800, up to tonight, and there is just 6 points between these two guys, and we are going to be focusing on that battle quite extensively this evening. And one thing we're going to be quite focused on is where these guys are qualifying. I think Daniel Tenorio just crossed the line to put in his first time of a 108.8, but James Howard knocks it out of the park with a 108 dead. So we're 8 tenths between them. Now, in the practice session, James did a 108. It was less than half a tenth of a second. It was a 108.681 from James, and it was a 108.726 from Daniel. So James has really found some serious pace there, and he's managed to put his car on provisional pole at the minute. Blake Scott just pips Daniel with a 108.779. But let's just see here. Let's really focus on what these guys are going to do as they come through. So Daniel's going to set his first time. He's more ahead on the track.
He's just second lap coming up to the last hairpin.
He is indeed. So let's just see what sort of pace he can put. James Howard is off. So James Howard has binned it on his second lap. So he's not going to be able to improve on that time, but that is a seriously quick time. Let's see what Daniel can do as he comes across the line. Does he improve? He does, but it's not enough. So he's 3 tenths off of James Howard on this one. Blake Scott is still with a 108.779. He's coming through. Let's see what sort of time he can do. Stephen Martinez with it at the minute. He did a 108.9. In practice, Stephen managed to do a 109 dead, so he's already up on his times. Let's see what Blake Scott's bringing into the pits. Not going to set a second time. But Blake Scott brings it into the pits. Stephen Martinez, does he improve on a 108.993? Let's see as he comes across the line in the Ultra Motorsport Corvette. Does he go quick? Or does he go quicker, sorry, than what he has?
Just slightly.
108.968, yeah, only slightly. And Eric Kaluga's already set his time at 109 dead. Michael Kaluga's in the pits. Mark Scott's off, and John Casey. Let's see what John Casey can do as he comes across the line. Does he improve? 111.3, so he does go quite a bit quicker there, but it's still, well, it's the last spot in AM at the minute. I don't think Lyden Lee is with us, so he won't be setting a time. He has disconnected. So that is your AMs for now. We're going to be letting the pros out onto track as we speak.
Yep. So even though Daniel didn't get the pole for AM, he really did set himself up nicely to make sure that he's not going to have any other AM drivers to contend with, at least at the start. So that way, he wants to try and make sure that he's going to be as close to James as possible, on the start here, and then maybe pounce later on. He's done well there to make sure that, at least as far as the AMs go, he shouldn't have to worry too much, at least on the initial start. So
yeah, correct. So you can see our pro division there just lining up, ready to head out onto track, and we're going to turn these guys loose now. So we have given the instruction to release the cars off for qualifying. So Jersey Glack is your first car away, followed by Christian Furs, and then Andrew Hewson, and that was the purple car. Tom Mustaka's next. But this section here, I think we just saw it there, to go up the hill. This track is really something else. It's so much quick elevation changes, off camber, and I'd actually say this turn, I think it would be turn 1, if you will, or this braking zone up into the underneath the bridge up there, almost like a lot of you guys are going to be practicing for Daytona, and I can only describe it as you're asking the car brake and turn all in one little bit there, and you really are bringing that car down. It's uphill, and then you get to a rise at the top, and it's just quite a tricky track. You lock up a brake going up there, or the car rotates or anything like that, it's pretty much good night piano, unfortunately. So it's going to be a tricky one. And this hairpin you can see here, this is a really quite a tight hairpin for these guys to be putting the cars through. But the back section of the track with that flowing, sweeping, right, left, that's a very nice section of the track. And in a GT car, it's incredibly rewarding to go through there and sort of just balance the car on the edge and get it through that section. It's fantastic. It's a good track, this, for these sort of cars. I think it's quite underestimated, or,
like I mentioned earlier, I love Sonoma. I can't really speak too much for driving a GT car around here. But in terms of, I do have quite a bit of experience driving the Cup Series cars, and NASCAR Cup Series. And that first little section from turn 1, to then coming up through like 2, 3, and 4 is just fantastic. When you really get that section of the track right, you can make up a ton of time on somebody who's kind of, just being a little tender through there, just making sure they just get through. So if you put the time in and really learn the track and some of its characteristics, this place is just so much fun. It really is. So,
and it can bring some really good racing, I think, because the nature of some of the corners, there is quite a few overtaking opportunities around here. You've got to be brave, but there is quite a good amount of, big braking zones and stuff like that, where you can really tee up an overtake and just line it up and get it done. So, it is a place where you can lose and gain a lot of time, especially in the fast section as you come through. I mean, this is probably one of the overtaking points I'd say here, is obviously if you can get the run down the hill into that right-hander, then you've got another right-hander. If you can tee up an overtake between there, that's a good spot to do it. As they go through this section here, this is a one-line bit of track, really, so you're not going to get anything. But again, if you carry the momentum and you get right up somebody's exhaust pipes through here, you can then really have an advantage for that last right-hand hairpin at the last section here. So it's a good track. I really enjoy Sonoma. I think it's a great track to be penultimate on the calendar. There is obviously just one round left, and usually ask me at the end, but I'm going to say now, as Christian Furs puts puts all of his braking force in and locks up. But let's see what sort of time he can do as he comes across. Sebring is the final round of the season, by the way, guys. So let's see what Christian Furs can do as he comes across the line. It's a null and void lap.
At a time, yeah.
Instead of time, but very interesting. What we've been rabbiting on about how much we like this track. Jersey Glack has not been able to beat the time of James Howard. James really got that car hooked up proper and managed to get it going. So Andrew Hewson, and of course this is another thing as well. The battle for actually, I think it's the battle for second in Pro. There's only 20 points splitting those guys. So for second in Pro, the winners will receive an Elgato Stream Deck, which is like a multifunction button box that can do a hell of a lot of things. And if you are into sim racing and you do endurance stuff, that is a pretty cool thing. Like me, if you like to have a bit of music on, you can actually control whatever sort of media system you use through that device. But let's go through your qualifying results. So James Howard qualifies with a 118.012. Then it's Jersey Glack with a 108.012. Then Jersey Glack with a 108.227. Daniel Tenorio 108.369, and Christian Furs with a 108.7. Andrew Hewson matches the time. There's only 100th of a second between those two guys, with a 108.744. Blake Scott with a 108.779. Stephen Martinez 108.9. And then Eric Kalaga, got the name right tonight, with a 109 dead. And then we've got another 109 dead from Michael Kalaga. Tom Mustakis with a 109.1. Will Paisley 109.4. Mark Scott 109.4. And then finally John Casey rounds out. It's just 13 drivers in this race this evening with a 111.365. Those are your qualifying finishes. We are going to roll this session over now, and we're going to let them loose for a 30-minute race to decide, well, the penultimate round of the championship. So the session has been rolled over, and I'm quite, I'm more really. I know we haven't got a massive amount of cars out there this evening. There's only 13 of them, but there's a hell of a lot on stake, and the guys who are still in the session, it's going to be quite important for these guys to maximise. I know we say Jersey Glack has kind of got the job done, but if he doesn't finish both of these races, and Taylor Lane does and wins them,
that's going to bring Taylor right back into it.
Well, it's going to put Taylor 5-10 points behind. So, I know we said it's done and dusted, but it only takes mistakes. If you bury your car, then it's finished.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because of the characteristics of Sonoma, it's deceptively easy to do. You can just be sitting there riding along, stringing together some really good laps. You go through, one section of the track doing the same thing you've done before, and all of a sudden, it all just
falls apart.
Work out. Yeah. So it's definitely a track where you definitely got to be 100% focused 100% of the time. So
absolutely. And these guys have gridded up. They are on the grid ready for the parade lap, or the start, whatever you call it, rolling lap. Sorry, parade lap. Sighting lap. It's called about 8 different things. You have to think about it. What this lap is? It's parade lap, cycling lap, warm up lap, rolling start, whatever you want to call it. But the Porsche pace car leads them away, and it's Corvette, and then one more Corvette and a Porsche. So Porsche is your 5th car there. I think it's Blake Scott is your first Corvette as they come up through this section here. Though this is quite a very tricky section. That corner is harder than you think. It's off camber, tight. It's right at the top end of a very high-speed section. So,
yeah, this little section right here to this right-hander. At the exit of this corner here, the car has a tendency to get very light. So it's actually really easy to spin those rear tires to just put the car off right, and then you're right into the barrier. There's only 3 or 4 feet between the edge of the track and the wall, so you don't have a whole lot of room to make any errors there.
No, you certainly don't. So we're go through this nice twisty section at the back end now, and then we're going to be turning them loose for a 30-minute race. Predictions?
You know, it's going to be hard to go against Jersey. I think he's going to have the consistency and the pace. And I think we're about to see a heck of a fight here between James and Daniel.
I think you're right. I don't think Daniel or James are going to want to give this up. And James said to me the other day that he didn't realise just how close Daniel was. So, you know, it's opened his eyes. James has done really well in the championship. They both have. But it kind of comes down to tonight and next Wednesday, where we're going to see just who manages to get the car across the line as they come through into what is the start section. And they are away. James Howard leads them up the hill, followed by Jersey Glack. Just behind, they are still too wide between Daniel Tenorio and Christian Furs. Neither of those guys, well,
Side by side.
They're side by side. They're going to want to continue up the hill.
It's like Daniel's car just twitched there right in the middle of turn 1.
Yeah, it did.
And that's going to cost him 2 spots on track. Not really spots, but track position.
No, but Blake Scott did a really good time in practice, and now he's right on the back of Daniel Tenorio. So, and these guys are still racing. There's still championship battles going on throughout the field. So it's not going to be, oh, I'm going to let you go because you're up there. It's, I'm going to want to try and do as well as I can for my championship. But Daniel manages just to get the edge on Blake through there. I think the Corvette is say noticeably better than the Porsche around this track, unfortunately. I think the guys in the Corvettes have probably got the edge on the Porsche. Or Porsche, as I should say.
Yeah, and our resident Porsche complainant, if I could say, jokingly, Will Paisley, he was voicing some of his displeasure earlier in the Discord.
He was indeed.
So, which I mean, it looks to be fair. The Corvettes, they're off to a good start. They had a lot of pace in practice, some of the best pace in qualifying.
Very much did, and it's good to see so far that this grid has stayed fairly consistent. You know, there's not one person's, you know, sort of ran away with it. The gap between first and eighth is less than 5 seconds, and they're all kind of just line astern. Will Paisley is probably just dropping back off the back of Tom Mustakas, but up to that point there, we have got some fantastic sort of battles that could form up at any moment. So Jersey Glack is behind James Howard. Now, James Howard, I've got to say, he's always going to be good at this track because of his background. James is a big NASCAR fan, big NASCAR boy when it comes to supporting that sort of stuff. Believe he made pro as well, right in saying? Maybe many moons ago.
Tom.
I thought James did as well. I might be wrong there.
I don't know, maybe.
Either way, they're very, very experienced NASCAR racers. And of course, this being a NASCAR track, it was always going to be one where the NASCAR boys were going to shine at because of the level of racing they've done around here. So you can see James Howard is out front at the minute, knows the place like the back of his hand, even though he did bin it on his second lap in qualifying. But you know what? He obviously only needed one go, and he got the job done. So he's out there at the minute. And then it's Jersey Glack, Christian Furs, Andrew Hewson, and Daniel Tenorio. So, and Andrew Hewson's going to want to be doing whatever he can do over Taylor Lane. Taylor Lane is back in 12th position overall, but I'm going to be doing some maths while these guys are going round to see where it falls in the points, because it's going to be quite interesting to see. Andrew Hewson and Taylor Lane, 20 points in it between those two. If Andrew stays where he is going to get... I am gonna work this out for us, so we've got an understanding of where we're at. So for a third position in the championship, it'll be 52 points is what Andrew Hewson will pick up, and for sixth position, it's going to be 40 points. So he's going to gain 12 points over Taylor Lane, and that brings the gap to...
Christian Furs being really aggressive through the first half of this lap here. Just dropped a wheel off exit of turn 3 or 4. And then as they come around the right-hander, 90-degree right, absolutely demolished the curb and really just sent the right-hand side of the car about 2 feet in the air.
He's trying. You can see the understeer he had through that section there on the right, and the last right-hander before he gets into the hairpin. You can see that the lock that he was putting in didn't really correlate to the amount of turn that he was getting. That means the car is understeering. It means all you're doing there is you're cooking the front tyres, you're not getting them to grip, and you're just pushing yourself on. So, yes, I mean, if you look at the points, it brings the gap down to just 18 points between Taylor Lane and Andrew Hewson if it stays as it is. If Andrew Hewson is able to get the jump on Christian Furs, then that gap is going to come down even more, and he's going to gain another 4 points, which is going to bring the gap down to sort of like 14, 15 points between the two. And second place, as we do say, wins a prize that's worth £150 in my money, so it's going to be like $200 in your money. So it's a decent enough prize, and it's a prize that you're going to want to try for. So Taylor Lane's got to dig deep, find some pace. He's got William Paisley, Tom Mustakas to get through. There's obviously an am of Eric Kalaga in between them. He's going to want to try and do his best, but Christian Furs has got the edge as he disappears for a second, but he's back now. Got the edge on Andrew Hewson at the minute, but he doesn't look settled in that car, if I'm honest with you. It just doesn't seem to be in the sort of flow. You're seeing a lot of off-track stuff, he's wide here, he's wide there. A little bit of argy-bargy further on down the field. I've just seen Michael Kalaga getting pinched into the wall by Mark Scott out of the hairpin, but they're all still alive.
Yeah, this is honestly, Sonoma is one of those tracks where you can actually get yourself in trouble by trying too hard. It's one of those tracks where it sounds counterintuitive, but slower sometimes really is faster around this place. The less you hustle the car around here, and what I mean when I say that is, the less you're sliding the tires around, the less you're locking up the brakes, locking up the tire, the faster you're going to be. So smooth around this place really is the fastest way around.
Crucial. Yeah, I agree with that.
Because we see Andrew just absolutely blow the bus stop, talking Daytona. Absolutely blew the hairpin. So, yeah, overdriving at this place, the only thing that's going to come from that is you're going to overheat the tires. And once you build the heat in the tires, you're never going to get it back out.
Yeah, you're right.
Going to be in for a miserable race.
Yeah, we see Mark Scott, I think that is there, just fighting with front-end grip. He's locked him up a couple of times. He's pushed on wide a couple of times. He's really going to calm down and just drive the car to the track and get a feel for where it is in regards to, where's the front push in, where am I losing time and things like that. You can see there are massive amounts of lot being put into the steering, but really it's not doing him any favours. All it's going to do is make the tyre scrub. You're going to overheat the fronts, and then you're not going to get any turning in the slower speed corners when you really, really need it. But the other thing I forgot to mention as well, we've been supported all season by 3 guys in Eric Kalaga, Michael Kalaga, and Stephen Martinez of Vulture Racing, Vulture Motorsport. For me, I'm not 100% sure of the second word in the team title, but those guys there, Eric Kalaga's on 510 points, Michael Kalaga's on 507 points, and Stephen Martinez is 501 points. So there's 9 points splitting the 3 teammates. I mean,
I think they've been for every race, haven't they?
Every single race, been here the whole season, and they've been absolutely fantastic drivers. Super, super clean. Very, very low incident points. I've seen the results. They've just done really, really, really well. They've hardly had any mistakes, any major problems. They might have been caught up in the odd bit here and there. You know what? That's racing. You're always gonna get caught up in something. But they have been doing absolutely phenomenally well. So there is a battle there. 9 points between those guys. It's going to be who can gain the most, and you can go jump from 5th to 3rd in the championship in one race with a couple of positions. But back to the front, we've got James Howard all out there and doing what he's got to be doing, and he is leading overall, not less alone just Am. He's out there leading overall. Jersey Black is within sniffing distance of him, but he's not going to want to do anything. And I think James is really going to try and keep him there because he doesn't want to allow Jersey pass, as Jersey does look to the inside. I say that as Jersey potentially looks for a move, but he's going to want to try and keep the pros behind him. And the reason for this is the minute he lets Jersey go, Christian's going to want to go as well. And then if Andrew manages to catch back up on them, Andrew's going to want to go because they're going to be fighting in that division, that pro division, whereas James is going to then fall back into the grasp of Daniel Tenorio, and he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to do that at all.
I got to say that I kind of like this move by James here to really fight to try and to keep the lead. Because just as you say, if he lets these guys go, he's going to have to let everybody else go behind him that's pro to not interfere with their race. So if he can keep everybody tucked in behind him, one, that's more cars between himself and Daniel. And it's going to make Daniel's job even harder to get up to him. And as I say, now here comes Jersey. He's going to have, if he can stay alongside here, he's going to have the inside run up to turn 1.
Yeah.
Clears him.
Well, he clears him.
Pulls over and lets Christian go.
Christian's just disappeared slightly, and Andrew Houston all over the back. He's going to want to get by as well, and this is exactly what we said. Now now the gap that was 2.9, 2.8 seconds is not. It's like just over a second. And Andrew Houston is going to want to be making a move. He does take a look, doesn't do anything. It's obviously his championship for second place. He's going to want to try and get in as much points as he can over Taylor Lane, who is currently last in the AM division. Oh, sorry, the pro division.
I was checking on Taylor just a little bit ago, and unfortunately, I just don't think he has the pace in that car tonight.
Oh.
He's been running consistent, but just consistently, a little bit off the pace. Which is, to be fair, it's pretty uncharacteristic for him.
Absolutely. He's a good driver, is Taylor. I've been racing a lot with him this week at Daytona. Obviously, Daytona is the one, and it's not far away. What we now? How many days till Daytona? It's 10 days?
A week and a half, yeah.
10 days away. So we're 10 days away from Daytona 24. And obviously the ESS series is there. And I've been doing a whole heap of laps in those. And I've been doing it. Andrew Houston puts the wheel off onto the dirt, but no harm. Gets it all gathered up. Daniel Tenorio is on the back of Andrew. So Daniel's going to want to dip past Andrew. Andrew's going to want to pass back James. And James probably doesn't want to let either of them pass him.
Oh, this is going to get interesting.
So there is a bit of a fight there. They're really similar on pace. If you look at the times, James Howard's last lap 1:10.8. Andrew Houston 1:10.4. Daniel Tenorio had a little bit of a wobble, so he did a 1:09.7. Apologies. So he managed to gain up a big stack of time. And Christian Furze at the front 1:09.7 as well. So lap times, they are within 0.2 of each other, these four guys. 2 pros, 2 AMs, split every other. So yeah, 17 minutes left in the race. Lot up for grabs, as you can imagine, with obviously the championship. I'm going to harp on about it, but the winner of the championship for AM and for pro will both win a rig from our main sponsors, RacingSimRigs.
Oh, Daniel.
Has Daniel binned it?
No, he dropped the wheel off, and I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to save it or not, but he did. He gathered it up and kept it going.
Forgive me. I mean, I just proved how much he's trying. So he, these guys are racing for something big, and they're not going to want to miss out on the opportunity of it. As we get a replay here, Andrew Houston actually drops a wheel off as ahead, but then
looks like Daniel just followed him. Yep.
Yeah. So you can see he goes up and over the rise, and the next camera you're going to see is all over on the grass. That can be the end of your race because it can snap the car around. You're not in control of it.
And it looks like it might have shot him out wide.
Indeed. Let's get back to it. So these guys here, 4 drivers covered by less than a second on track. Sorry, just over a second on tracks. But there's when they all bunch up into a corner, you can see that there's a potential there for someone to go slipping their nose up the inside and essentially ruining someone's evening. Daniel Tenorio really has dropped off the back of these three, so they've got a bunch up in this section here, and as they go through the start-finish line, it all sort of spreads out again. But James Howard is driving around, probably looking in his mirrors, thinking, "Oh, we don't want to let him past." Christian Furs gets it all wrong, has a bit of a wobble, and closes the three up massively. And of course, James was about to let up, and then Andrew was about to let up behind him, and that then brings Daniel back into it. Andrew Houston furiously flashing the lights, going, "Let me past, you're in my way, you're not even in my class." And James isn't going to want to do that. However, it is written into the rules that the pro do have the priority on track. So if it feels that we're... Andrew, yeah, he wants by, look. Andrew does want by, and it is stated in the rules that AMs do have to yield for pros if pros have the pace. But at the minute, they are pretty much bang on pace. That's that from James, 109.4. Excuse me, I've got your problem now. And last lap from Andrew was a 109.2. So, you know, they really are close together. Daniels was a 109.005. He is absolutely flying. He's actually sort of matching the pace of the leader, which was Jersey Black. But you've got four cars bunched up nice and tight here, and this is championship dependable stuff here.
Tell you, James might be looking to try and make a move on Christian Furs here. Christian keeps making some mistakes. Coming through the back half of this course.
He's got to be careful because Andrew's going to get impatient soon. He wants by.
Oh, Christian goes wide.
Christian goes wide. Andrew likes the backup coming out the corner. You see the slide there. James. Okay, so where are we at now? Let's have a look. They are over the radio talking to each other saying, "I want to get by," and James is saying, "Well, I don't want you to because look who's behind you." And you know,
Andrew.
Andrew. Brown trouser moment there for him. That's what I mean.
About it earlier.
You know what? You're almost better putting the whole left-hand side of the car off the track there than just putting one smidge of a tyre off, because the second you put just a tyre off, it seems to be that if you just, let's say you've got 50 or 80% of that tyre is on the tarmac, but you've got 10-20% of it is off, that's where the real problems happen. That's what it's really like.
It's almost like it'll grab that tyre and it'll just sling the car sideways.
Absolutely. James Howard has yielded.
Oh boy, here we go.
Here we go. This is Daniel Tenorio and James Howard were side by side in the right-hander. But they've evened themselves out, so now this is where it gets interesting, because we've got just sort of 10-12 minutes left of this race. It's James Howard and Daniel Tenorio, your two championship rivals, 7 points between them in the championship, and right now that gap's going to be extended out a further 4 points, so it's going to turn 7 points into 11, 6 points into 10. Sorry, I get my stuff right here because I don't want to get things wrong. So there are 6 points between James and Daniel. As it stands at the minute, that gap will go up to 10 points between James and Daniel. However, if Daniel does get past James and it finishes at Daniel's ahead, the gap will come down to just 2 points.
Yes, Daniel is definitely going to be trying to do everything he can to get around James here, because 2 points, pretty much it'd be whoever finishes ahead of the other at that point. So,
well, 2 points with what we have left is 3 races. Well, we've got 1 round plus a race today, and there's 2 races in that round as well. So there's going to be there is some time to make a difference in the championship, but as it stands at the minute, it's James lights back up on the dirt. It's that moment, that's all it takes, is that one little moment, and it's all over. Because if he has a DNF and Daniel is able just to get it home in the next couple of rounds, even if he's not finishing first, that's it. That's Daniel's championship done. Like Daniel will win the championship. So one error, one mistake and it is done.
Yeah.
So they've got to push because obviously they don't want to lose points where they can. But you've got to drive within your realms to actually finish the race, because if you don't, if James bins it here, Daniel's going to gain 30 or 40 points on it. And that will be potentially the end of the championship. And vice versa.
It would be really hard to try and make that up. So,
well, you need him to do the same in the next round or one of the races. You physically need to be having your rival have a DNF to withstand any chance of getting back into it. But let's just park that for a minute. Let's have a look at what's going on further down the field. Tom Moustakis. One thing I've just realised, we have had a retirement. Will Paisley has retired the car. So Taylor Lane will jump up a position, which means in that respect, I'm going to have a little look here to see what will go on to the points. So 52 points is what Andrew will score, and 44 points is what Taylor will score. So let me just put that into here. $52 and 44. So Taylor is still ahead by just a smidge over 30 points. So, I think Taylor's kind of got it okay. Kind of got it in the... I wouldn't say he's got it in the bag, but, he just needs to finish. He needs to finish both races today. I know he hasn't got the pace in the car, but that's not the end of the world, because the worst case scenario is going to finish sixth. We've only got six pros out there today, and sixth position is still going to score him some points. But if Andrew can get ahead of Christian Furs, he's going to want to do it. Spicy stuff. I mean, Andrew off the... just clicked to him then. I've looked at the stream. Seen Andrew's off the track. James Howard was right out by that wall a second ago.
James has really picked the pace up. He had kind of fallen off a little bit, a little bit earlier. But now that, I don't know, maybe if it was the pressure of having Daniel behind him all of a sudden or what, but he has really picked the pace up.
It's a 108.3.
Last 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah, it's a 108.6 from Andrew Houston, 108.3 from... a 108.4 really from James, and then it's a 108.6 from Daniel Tenorio, and James is all over the back of Andrew Houston. Andrew moves over to the right to get the run up the hill. Actually works because he managed just to put a little bit more time on him there, but I've not seen that one before. You can't blame these guys for trying, and Andrew four-wheel drifting it out of there. You can just see the car all four wheels just moving in sync over to the left without anything, without any real steering input or anything. So he's still trying, but Christian Furs is sort of gone off a little bit into the distance, just a second ahead of Andrew Houston. I don't really know where to go with that. I think it's going to be, you can quite clearly see from the inputs that Daniel's putting into the car that he's still trying. He's really still on it. He's not, it's not like, he's gone. He's still got pace. Andrew puts another wheel off onto the track there, onto the dirt, but gets a good exit out of the hairpin. And we've got just under 7 minutes to go. So I'm going to hazard a guess that that's going to be about 5 to 6 laps we're going to have.
Yeah, probably 6. It really baffles me though how pretty much evenly matched that Daniel and James have been really over the last 4 or 5 rounds. These guys they've been putting on a great show.
I think we did say that Daniel had that pedal upgrade, so he went from having a normal Fanatec, 2-pedal set for the CSL 2-pedal set, and then he upgraded to getting that load cell, and it's just improved his pace no end. And I will be racing with Daniel, or Daniel will be racing with our team of Twisted Motorsport in the Daytona 24, and he's been putting a lot of laps in there this week, because we all have in preparation for it, and his pace is really good. I know his I rating, I think he's just under the 2K mark, but his pace around there, he could easily stretch that up to, to 2.5 plus, I'd say, with the pace that he's got. Doing really well is Daniel, and doing really well is James. James is going to be really close on the back of him there. You see that? See how close he got there? And I don't know if he made a mistake. He locked a brake, but he really got
he had to check up for Andrew. Andrew looked like he made a mistake, either in the middle of one or coming out of one. And that really checked James up, and now Daniel's going to be all over the back of James again.
Yeah, well, Andrew's going to be... Andrew did woe him back up into Daniel. So now the gap between Daniel and James is... well, it's just over half a second as they come through this twisty section at the back end of the track. But is it time? Is it getting to the time where they're going to be potentially, he's dropped off a bit actually through that section. James has really got that section down to a T. Daniel loses quite a bit of time through there, and I don't really know where else on track he can make that time up. I don't really know of a spot where he can actually get that time back together, but.
No, and especially with these guys being so evenly matched, it looks like Daniel. I saw Daniel kind of get squirrely coming up out of the hairpin. So I'm gonna hazard a guess that Daniel's probably worn those tires out of it. So that's really gonna make it challenging to try and get back up to James here over the last couple of laps.
Correct, but maybe a bit of good news for Taylor to bring the gap down. Tom Moustakis has clipped one of the tyre barriers, or one of the tyre sets on the end of, or the inside of the hairpin. I think he's broke his steering because he's gone off at turn 1, gone off again at what is the little sort of chicane section at the top of the hill. So you can see there, Tom Moustakis has had an off, which puts Taylor Lane just a position behind. So Taylor Lane's actually gained 2 positions out of sheer other people's misery. Yeah, it's steering damage. Well, if it wasn't steering damage before, it really is now, because he's just ploughed that right in there.
Yeah, I think Tom maybe decided that he'd had enough.
Well, he's still out there having a go. So it's not over yet. But yes, that's the bonnet of corrugated metal now, it seems. Yeah, it's not doing too well, that one. Purple lawnmower, as it was affectionately called after Road America. No, Mid-Ohio, wasn't it? Mid-Ohio. Yeah. Purple lawnmower, as we pleasantly called it after Road, Mid-Ohio even, is in repair, or in desperate need of repair, shall I say, because the front of it looks a bit broke. Let's get back to the battle. Up here, James Howard, Daniel Tenorio, Andrew Hewson, Christian Furs is a good slab, 2 seconds, if not slightly over, up the road. So that's done his championship a bit of good. Unfortunately, I don't think he's got any hope of catching up to Andrew or Taylor for the battle for second place in the championship. He's going to, or should I say second and third. So I believe his championship is probably well and truly done in 4th spot, but he's doing okay so far. Just seeing that.
Oh, James. Or no, pardon me, that was Andrew. Andrew came around 90-degree right-hander here at the backside of track. And he went so wide, it looked like he just about hit the tire barrier.
As long as he kept it out of it, because that could have a big impact on his championship if he bins it now. We've got 1 minute and 30 seconds left, so I'm going to hazard a guess that we haven't got a white flag yet, but we're probably going to have one on the next time by. Jersey Glack, your leader, way up ahead. He's going through lap traffic. I think he's just gone past John Casey. So lap traffic could play into it a little bit here, as Christian Furs can see John Casey out the window of his car there. That's the green and black Porsche just up ahead. John Casey, as we've said time and time again, has just been coming on leaps and bounds in his driving standards, his ability. He's ordered, as it was, he's basically done what Daniel's done, He's upgraded his equipment, so he's gone from having, I believe, a standard Logitech set pedals. I started on Logitech pedals, absolutely nothing wrong with them whatsoever. But he's gone up to Fanatec V3s, which is, you know, is a good jump in the in sim racing equipment. So he's ordered those. They're probably going to be here this week. We're wishing the very best of getting set up and getting them going. And again, for a GTE car, obviously, where you've got to, you know, locking up is a big thing with them. Having that resistance on the brake pedal with a load cell really helps. So that's going to be a big
difference. I mean, the difference is night and day.
Yeah, it is.
I myself, I started out with the Logitech G920. Had that really for about 4 years. Upgraded to the Fanatec V3s. As we got James Howard and Andrew Houston side by side here. So James lets him go again, but now Daniel Tenorio. Daniel all over the back of James now. Wow, Daniel really sent it down into turn 1. Oh, James.
What's happened there?
James got into the back of Andrew Houston and just sent him on in the tire barrier. What happened here?
We got a replay on screen of what happened here. So
James was just carrying so much speed.
No, Andrew took the curb. Michael Kalaga will be promoted onto pole. And then it will be Tom Moustakis will be on the front row as well. So it will be those two will be up on the front row. And I'm just getting myself loaded in now. I think these things happen in this world. Internet drops out. There's not a whole lot you can really do about that.
No.
But it's funny, after Rob unfortunately had his dropout, I think I might have had a little dropout as well. So maybe it's just something happening this side of the pond when it comes to internet. But we'll all cross our fingers. Hopefully it stays okay for the duration of race 2. What's your thoughts on that race, Casey? Talk to me about it.
What, from race 1?
Sorry, race 1. My apologies. We've not even had race 2 yet. So, yeah, race 1.
Oh, I mean, it was a great battle there between James and Daniel. Really looking forward to seeing how those guys can come up through the field here for race 2. Those guys were really evenly matched, so I think it's all going to come down to getting through traffic, trying to work their way through some of the other, some of the guys that finished at the back end of the field for race 1. Other than that, though, it was a really clean race, except for that little bit of contact between Andrew and James, but there wasn't nothing intentional there by James, I don't think. So.
No, I think I agree with that. I think there wasn't.
Yeah, Andrew. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say probably the same. I think the same thing that you were going to say, probably, which is Andrew got out of shape on the curb, knocked him all over the place, and then he was left in a position where he just couldn't get things back sorted. So we're back in the session now. Okay, I'm just going to put our announcement. We're going to go racing here in about 5 minutes. Okay, so let's just put on here that we're going to be going live as you get the stream back up. And we are going to be going racing in 2 minutes. Guys, we are going to be rolling the session in 2 minutes. So when that elapsed time hits 11 minutes, we will be going to race. So just give these guys a couple of minutes to get themselves sorted. I want to be saying that we're missing a name from Pro. I think that's Will Paisley decided that he's not going to be taking part in race 2. I believe he didn't feel that he had the grip in the car and didn't feel it was right. So it really does come down to this hand battle for what is first place battle, and then the third place battle across the Vulture Motorsports car. And I didn't really get a chance to see what impact that race we just had has on their championship, but we'll have a look throughout the course of the remainder of this practice session and before they go into green. So Christian Furs has just joined back. I think that was who we were waiting for. So there we go. Christian Furs is back in. So we got 5 over the pro field, a few more of the AMs. And again, now, I think one thing I've got to say, and I know these guys probably don't feel it, and obviously we want to see as many drivers out there as we possibly can. That goes without saying. But I think these guys who are leading these championships probably want as little cars as they can see on track, because obviously the less cars are on track, it's the less they've got to possibly go wrong, of course. So,
yeah,
I think they're going to want to see open tracks, and if they're in a contention with a battle with just one driver, they're going to want to see just that one driver out the windscreen or in the mirrors. They don't want to see 15 cars, because they see 15 or 20 or 25 cars, then obviously it's a situation where you've got to get through them before you can then potentially get to your rival, or you've got more chance of being collected in someone else's accident, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is something to be said for having smaller fields. I know a lot of people, myself included, I loved it, huge car fields and whatnot. I did go to the 2020 edition of the Rolex 24 at Daytona, and they had a smaller field than what they've had years past. And actually, the racing was kind of better for it. Absolutely smashed the race distance record, at least in the era of them having full course yellows. They absolutely smashed that out of the park. And the racing was just fantastic. So there is something to be said for having smaller fields. I think you get a better quality of driving, I think, for the most part. It shakes out like that sometimes.
I agree with you with that, to be fair.
So, that being said, though, I'm really looking forward to this year's running of the 24, the real 24. They're going to have a massive field.
Are you going?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, provided I can get over whatever it is I'm fighting. No, I've got my tickets paid for, everything, hotel room booked. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing some of my favorite drivers from other series competing there. And that's one of the things that's just great about the 24 and sports car racing in general. They draw in some of the best drivers from all walks, of motorsport. So and I think that's just one of the great things about it.
Absolutely. So we've just rolled the session over to go to race, and I'm just here tapping numbers into a screen to work out who finished where and what sort of impact that's made to the championship standings. So currently now there is a 10-point gap at the top of the field between James Howard, Daniel Tenorio. The reverse grid, by the way, guys, was car 11. So car 11, I think it was Michael Kalaga, I'm going to say, was promoted to top with Tom Mustaca starting on his outside. Eric Kalaga was your third place finisher, or his third on the grid, sorry, for this race. So just having a look here at the impacts that last race had on the point. And Stephen Martinez actually pipped Eric Kalaga there, so he's going to be getting, what would it be, 54, 52 points, I want to say. A quick scan here.
Would I be wrong in assuming that Jersey Glack's probably pretty much well clinched the championship at this point?
I'm gonna put it on the line, and we're probably gonna say that he has got that thing home. Might be, I could be wrong. I don't think I am. So I'm pretty much gonna say
he's got to be pretty close by now.
Well, in pro points, yeah, he's got it. I believe.
So he had 100 points.
It's 120 points gap. So he'd have to have. But even if he has a DNF, he'll still score points because of the turnout in pro. So yeah, he's won the championship. He will be giving him the good news after this race to say he has won a GT1L from RacingSimRigs. Big congratulations to Jersey. We're with him now on the screen. Pretty much seal the deal. I say the only thing that happens now is if we pull his car apart and find out he's got like a jet engine in there and have to remove all these points from the championship. So that's the only way that Jersey Glack is going to lose out on this championship. But I'm confident enough to put my neck on the line and say that he's got this one in the bag. So.
Yep. So now the focus for the pros, at least, is going to be, I think, between Taylor and Andrew. Right, battle for second and third.
That's the 30-point gap in that. So whether that is, whether that does shake to it, I'll find out. But I think Taylor's got that done. So I want to say that that's pretty much in the bag. But we are coming through. We have a green flag, and these boys are away. So that's enough championship talk for now. Let's see how they get through on the first lap. As Michael Kalaga heads them off up the hill. And how keen are these boys going to be to get through the field? So currently it's Michael Kalaga, Tom Moustakis, Taylor Lanes had a good start. He's got the jump on Eric Kalaga, who's dropped back, and Andrew Hewson is behind Taylor Lanes. So again, championship battle there. And we've got cars around. That's Daniel Tenorio, I think, has gone around. That is the championship second place at the minute. Has been turned around at the start of this race. That is exactly not what he wanted. And let's just have a look and see what happened here. So he's on the outside as he goes up the hill. He's got Blake.
Oh, man.
I want to say that's Blake Scott there. Eric Kalaga. Oh, it's the two. Is that the two Vulture Motorsport guys? He's stuck behind Christian Ferd. Yep. He bounces off him. He's trying to find the room. He wants to get past him. And he just bumps across into him. He's just trying to find the gap. He's really keen to obviously. I hate to say it, there was a whiff of desperation in that. He could feel his championship just sort of going away when he saw these cars ahead, and all he had to do was be calm and get into the race. But what's happening with James Howard? Where's he up to as they come across the line to complete the first lap?
Sixth overall.
He's sixth overall, so he's behind Blake Scott, Michael Kalaga. So there's actually there's 3 or 4 spots. I think Daniel's probably got his eyes on Mark Scott, John Casey, and then it's into Eric Kalaga. But Eric Kalaga's no slouch, so he's going to have to take quite a chunk of time. Blake Scott has just lost it in front of James Howard. And Blake Scott is off the track rejoining.
So as they ran coming across the line there was a little over 8 seconds from Daniel Tenorio and Daniel to try and get back up to James. I don't know if he would be able to do that over the course of just this 30-minute race here.
It's going to be a big ask. I've just calculated the points, so there's actually now between the Vulture Motorsport guys of Eric Kalaga, Stephen Martinez and Michael Kalaga, there is just 7 points between them. You've got Eric Kalaga on 5.54, Stephen Martinez on 5.49 and Michael Kalaga on 5.47, so just 7 points, just 7 points between those guys. What's gone on there? That's Jersey Glack's around. What happened there? Is that a mistake, or did he get a clip?
He locked him up. Oh man.
No, there was Michael Kalaga. Michael Kalaga.
He got into the back of Christian first.
Well, Michael Kalaga had a spin, and then Christian got into that, and then Jersey had nowhere to go, and fortunately gets into Christian. So. I mean, we had some really super clean driving in race 1. Michael Kalaga car looked just broken.
Excuse me. Sorry.
He goes off the wall again. I think you're excused on this case, mate. I don't think there's anything to apologise for. Obviously suffering with your ailments.
Yeah.
Tasty race at the start of this. James Howard, Jersey Glack off the road again. I mean, yeah, I know I've just said he's potentially. We're 99.9% sure that he's won this. We're going to let the cat out the bag and say that he's basically got the championship load up here. But
that's pretty much done.
But let's not say that he's. I don't think it gives him the right to then, potentially throw it away if, there is a chance that things can happen. I mean,
and as you say that, Taylor Lane is all over the back of Thomas Sakis here for the race lead.
It is. A Porsche could be good in race 2. The conditions are much cooler. We're later in the day. It's 5:22 in sim. No, sorry, 3:22 in sim. So
that really seems to have helped that Porsche along.
Yeah.
Because Taylor was just miles off the pace, fortunately, in race 1. But he's really putting it together here, at least thus far.
Well, he's just done it. He's just got past Thomas Sakis for race win, and Andrew Hewson is going to want to get past. You're in replay. Get with it, man. So Andrew Hewson is in 3rd. He's going to want to be getting past Thomas Sakis as quick as possible, because that is then a championship battle there. As Taylor Lane see out the windscreen of Thomas Sakis' Corvette that the Porsche is just understeering. It's not happy around here. Porsche's a pushy thing. Didn't know where to look on the first line of that. I mean, we've got 13 cars out there, but my God, they're,
a lot of action. Yeah.
A lot of action with this reverse grid. Thomas Sakis out wide. Andrew Hewson gets the spot. So now we've got Taylor Lane, Andrew Hewson, Thomas Sakis is your top 3. And there's a big old gap back down to Daniel Tenorio. 10 seconds. He's got to find 10 seconds to get up to James, or at least if he can get another P2, he's still within a sniff of the championship, because if he gets a P2, then I'm going to have a little look here.
Sebring, anything can happen at Sebring, so he's got to get around Eric, and he's to at least give himself a shot. He needs to get around Mark Scott and Eric Kalaga here. To at least make the best of a bad situation, and let the cards fall where they may at Sebring.
Well, if James Howard is able to just, get this next 23 minutes out of the way without any, calamities or problems or anything like that, and Daniel is able to get around Eric Kalaga, which it looks like he's going to do, because he's pretty much with him now. If he can do that and he can get that spot back, then he's going to be just 13 points adrift at the end of this round, which means there's a potential, if James has a bad run, he could do it into Sebring, but we'll see. But yeah, there are. It's Taylor Lane, Andrew Hughes, and Thomas Sakis, and Taylor's just been coming over the radio saying he nearly put it in a barrier on the right hand side somewhere. So we don't want him to do that. We want him to have a good race here. Stays up late. 17 minutes past 2 in the morning for me, so that means it is 17 minutes past 2 for him as well, and it'll be 17 minutes past 3 for Jersey Glacks. I think Jersey's obviously a Polish driver, and I think Poland is an hour ahead of us. So,
all right. So we were talking about Daniel Tenorio. He has actually gotten around Eric Kalaga, so that puts him second in AM.
He has. He's got to go for it. He has to throw everything he could possibly do at this race to try and get that gap down, because it's going to be at 13 points as it stands right now. If he can get around James, he brings the gap back down to 10 points, but he's got a bit of damage on that Corvette, and James is very well suited to this track. So let's have a look at some lap times. The last lap from James was a 109.4. Last lap from Daniel, 109.2. So he's 0.2 quicker, but there is
that's not nearly enough.
That's not going to be enough. There's 9 seconds between these two drivers as they cross the line. Let's have a look at the gap. So James Howard 4.33, Daniel Tenorio 12.8. That's eight and a half seconds roughly in my book that he's got to find. 109.1 from Daniel Tenorio, 110.1 from James. He took a second out of him on that last lap. Daniel is flying.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, it's all or nothing, right? I mean, if Daniel can't make up the points here, it's going to be really difficult to try and get everything back at Sebring. So, especially, having the reduced grids, things like that, it really would be difficult to try and get all 13 points back next week. So,
well, he's got to put a dent in it. He's got to get that 13. Well, as it is now, as they stand on track, it's 13 points is what separates these guys between James Howard and Daniel Tenorio. So if they can get that down, if Daniel can get that down and just get the win on this race, it's a tall order. But if there's a chance that he can, then that's going to bring that gap of 13 down to 10. So it's a little bit more manageable. And then obviously if he does manage to finish both races next week ahead of James, he actually needs James to go another spot back to be any sort of chance. Hey, it's come down to it. This is it. You. I think if I'm going to be honest with you on that first lap, I think he was just a bit greedy. He just, if he just sat and waited. Yeah, all right, you're stuck behind cars, but you've got to think it's a half an hour race. I'm not going to win at the first lap, but I know what he's trying to do. He's seeing his championship rival ahead of this. He's looking at 2-3 cars side by side. He's like, I've got to go. And I hate to say it, I probably would have done the same thing. I'd been going like, right, where's the gap? There's the gap. I'm going. Yep. Gap just closed up before his very eyes and didn't do him any favours. So let's have a little look throughout the field. So obviously we've got this third place battle, which is bubbling, or this third position in the championship between Stephen Martinez, Eric Kalaga, and Michael Kalaga. Now, Stephen Martinez, forgive me for saying, Michael Kalaga, so one of the blue and white Corvettes retired. So that was Michael Kalaga, who was currently in 5th position in the points. He's not going to be gaining, unfortunately, anything really over his rivals. But who is it? Is it Eric Kalaga? So Eric Kalaga is out ahead in the Ford of that trio battle. And he's going to gain 8 points over Stephen Martinez, who's in second. So the gap between the two at the minute is 5 points. At the end of this race, if they finish as they are, it's going to be up to 13 points. So Eric's doing the best he can to secure a third spot in the championship. And there we can see Blake Scott as well. Blake Scott came into the championship quite late in AM. I think it was his dad, Mark Scott, who actually physically used to... where have we word that word? Anyway, Mark Scott used to race Porsches real world and put a video, which I'm sure he's got fond memories of in our Discord chat of him racing Porsches in the real world way back when. And he brought his son in, Blake Scott, and the two are out there true to form racing Porsches, even if they aren't, shall we say, the more suited car to this sort of track, or maybe even a few of our tracks that we've got on the calendar for this season. But they stick to what they know, and they're out there having a go.
I think it's awesome that Mark got his son into racing, which is pretty natural, something he obviously would have grew up around. So great to see.
Taylor Lane's got it really hooked up in this race. He's got just over a 2-second lead. Last lap from him, 1:08.8. Last lap from Andrew Houston, 1:10 dead. I mean, he's flying. Sorry, last lap from Andrew, that was his lap previous. So his last lap as he crossed the line was a 1:08.7. So, I mean, realistically, the gap about 2 seconds is probably going to stay at about 2 seconds, unless Andrew could pull something out of the bag. But we need him to stay off of those curbs that he's just clipped there, because that was could have been his race ender from race 1.
Yeah. And James is the one who's right behind him again, and I'm sure James does not want to hit him again. James has got to be sitting back there thinking, no, come on, just hold it straight. Tell you what, James is lying.
But he's going to have it. It's going to be going through his head now. He's going to think, well, I've got a 10-second gap. Life's good, you know. I'm in a good spot here. He's just confident with the car. We've said it before earlier on in the broadcast that he knows this track. This is a home track for him, or not a home track, but it's a track that at least he knows well, and he's used to racing on it with other series. And I mean, NASCAR's in general, whether it be the C, B, or A cars, or anything really, they're hard work. They're harder work to drive around here than a GTE Corvette would be.
Absolutely.
Dare I say that if he can muscle a NASCAR around here of any of the classes, then I'm pretty confident he can fly around in a GTE without any issues. One thing I've just realised is the gap between first and second has come down 8/10 nearly. So it's 8/10 difference between first and second. So
I think Andrew's picked the pace up a little bit, having James on the back of him. I don't think Andrew wants to let James by. So kind of pushing Andrew along a little bit, saying, hey, come on, let's go.
.4 is your gap between first and second right now, so we're going to monitor that gap really and see what happens. The Porsche probably not well suited to this track. It's not the most ideal car around here. But then we can see Daniel Tenorio, 15 seconds of drift off the leaders. James just 2 seconds. So the gap has opened up. It's 13 seconds now.
Yeah. He had it down to about 8.5, so I'm kind of wondering what happened to Daniel there.
Has he got more damage on the left front? I bet. Is that there before? 109.2 is his last lap. James was a 109 dead, so James is quicker on that one. Let me just look back on Daniel's laps and see if I can see anything obvious. He did a 110.3 the lap before, which is quite a chunk off. So he gained a second back, but he's now lost a second again on the lap previous to the one that he's on right now. So. Yeah, he's doing well, and I think there's more damage on that car. You know, I'm looking at that and thinking he's made contact with something.
It does look like there is a bit more left front there.
He's had something with something somewhere that car's now got a couple more.
You know, I'm wondering, and I could be wrong here, but it might have been this section of track that he's coming through right here. Clip this curb, you run out wide just a little bit. It's easy to get in. Just to scrape that tire barrier there.
You can see there is the thinnest glimmer of daylight between car and wall as he goes through there. So it's so easy, and if you clip it, it's at such an angle where it will really, really mess up the car. It won't be a glancing blow. It will be quite it's quite an impact in the car. It'll be quite a big deceleration, so it's going to cause a big chunk of damage. We've got a pile-up. There's two cars. Mark Scott was trying to get round Stephen Martinez, clips the back of him, and just turns around. He did say sorry, obviously not intentional. It's good racing these two have been having together. Unfortunately, we have missed it with things that are going on. But Mark Scott, I think, gets a slowdown, then just comes through and just gets into the back of Stephen Martinez.
You know what? I'll give Mark some credit here, though. He stopped. He waited for Stephen to get back going.
Absolutely, and you know what? Great.
That's class. That is class act right there.
Yeah, I like that.
That's literally him saying, you know what? Hey, sorry, I messed up. Let's try and do this right.
Yeah, go again. I like that. That's good to see. I can't stress enough. I know, you know, like I said, we've had some numbers drop off, which you're always going to get throughout a championship, but there is a true, genuine good feel across these drivers. They really have a lot of respect for each other. They talk to each other in Discord all the time. It's just a really good community type feel. They come on here, they do their racing. Obviously, you know, I'm sure there's moments where the red mist descends and they're trying to get through each other and think, you know, this guy's not my friend right now. But in between the races, there's always a good feel between the guys, and it's a really, really good little championship we've got going. And you know, if anybody out there who watches this wants to be a part of season 2, the sign-ups will go live tomorrow. And yeah, just get in touch. And if you do want to take part in season 2 of the American Series, just let us know and we'll get you in on it. But back to the action on track now. Andrew Hewson has closed the gap down to under a second on Taylor Lane, and James Howard is 3/10 back. He just needs to sit there. He doesn't need to do anything. I know, you see, racing driver or sim racer, whatever you want to call it, the emotions are the same, all right? You know, the racing is the same, all right? The cars aren't real, but the racing is, all that sort of stuff. He's just got to sit there, but whether he wants to sit there or not is a different story.
Oh, I know he doesn't want to.
He needs to.
I can speak from experience. Yeah, exactly. He needs to kind of just focus on the big picture. He's got a huge gap back to Daniel. So
if you can hear us, James, just don't, okay? Just don't do anything. Don't put things in jeopardy. You just sit there, and everything's going to work itself out. But you know, if you start going for gaps and they don't work, and you end up causing a pile up, and you're in it, that's where you're going to wake up tomorrow and go, what was I thinking? What the hell was I doing? Why did I do that? And you're really going to be upset. And if you miss out on a rig that costs £500, doesn't weigh £500, I like to make it clear. I know, you know, we're talking US dollars. It's probably in the realms of over 650, 600, 650. You know, this is a proper high-end sim racing piece of equipment. As James puts it, what's he doing? We were just saying it. Keep it on track, man. Don't be doing anything daft. That could have been it right there. That could have been your championship done and dusted. You put it in that barrier. Just run times. Just don't do anything.
Oh boy.
God,
I need some Tums or something. He's giving me anxiety.
I was looking. I've got I've got my iRacing. I've got triple screen set up, so I've got my iRacing open, watching a battle that's happening, and I'm looking at the stream on another battle, and I just see his car, all four wheels onto the dirt, and it's like, just listen to us. But if you can hear us, just stay where you are, and it's going to be fine. But you know, there's no need.
You know, that's never in a true racer's nature, though, is it?
No, he sees cars ahead of him, and he, you know, I have to be in front of those cars. I mean, their cars, I have to be ahead of them. You know, it is. You're right, but yeah, as I was saying, you know, the chance of winning a sim racing rig worth $600 is what is up for stakes here. The Attaxa Cone, and it's a big prize. You know, it's a big prize to win. Just sat in your house playing away, and you know, if you do have a rig at the minute, I'm fairly confident, unless you've got something of this caliber, once you get this out of the box and get it set up, which will take a bit of time, then it's going to be an improvement on, I'm going to guess, well, I'm pretty sure it's an improvement on what he's got at the minute. And obviously we won't say what he's got at the minute, but it definitely will be an improvement on that, just from the customization, the ability to do stuff with it. So one final time, James, listen, just stop it. Because it's there. You know, all you've got to do is get another 7 minutes out of the way, and you've opened your gap up to 13 points. Sorry.
Yep. Yeah, and any gap that you can have going into the last round, that's definitely going to help. And you know, to be honest, I really expect James well next week. Me and him have actually run together at Sebring. Actually, we ended up winning the 12 Hours of Sebring last year. it's a place that he is very good at. So, but you know, with that, Daniel has really shown over the last, you know, ever since he got those new pedals.
Yep.
He has really come to life. So, and I think he's given James a lot more fight for this championship than what James thought, what I think he was expecting. So, would definitely like to see these guys duke it out and have it go down to the last lap. You know, it's Sebring. Now, Andrew Hewson closing up on the back of Taylor Lane here. What's Andrew got for him?
Yeah, he is. He's half a second back at the minute. So Andrew Hewson, Taylor Lane, and again, this is a battle for second in the championship. Obviously, Jersey Glack is, as we said, I mean that's a pretty much done deal, I'd say. But this, it kind of isn't a done deal because, you know, if he can get some points back over Taylor, then I mean the gap at the minute is just over 25 points. It's a big gap. But every little helps, and you know that is as of now. It's about 25 points because obviously Andrew did claw a bit back on Taylor, and he needs more. There's no two ways about it. He needs more points back. And what really hurt Andrew is round one. So round one of the season, he only scored 23 points, where Taylor scored 80. So the whole championship from then on in, and in the second round as well, Taylor scored 81 points, Andrew scored 64, and then even on round three, dare I say, 76 to 59. But then Andrews just started plucking it back, whereas Taylor's had a couple of bad rounds. He had a really bad round at Charlotte Roval, as I remember, where he just buried it twice. And
yeah, I think he had a bad round at Road America as well.
A bad round at Road America as well, yeah, and he had a bad round at Laguna Seca. So but those are all tracks where Andrews really done well on. And obviously in the last round, he had a win. He had a win, I think, a P2, I'm going to say. So Andrews managed to pull that gap down. That was, you know, if you looked at this at round 5, you'd say Andrew Hewson's championship was done and dusted and it was over. But he's been able to pluck away and just take little bits here and there and chunks out of it. And it's a tall order to get it, but you know what? There's a chance, and it only needs Taylor to have a really, you know, do something silly here, drop back, and Andrew to take a win, puts him right back there. So,
yeah, well, not only that, you know, Andrew, he did manage to get that win last week. That was his first in the series. You know, he's got to be looking at this, going like, all right, my shot to get win number 2 here. So, and he has been taking little chunks of time out of Taylor here over the last few laps. Now, he didn't pull anything in that last time by, but you know, he has had the speed to close back in, but closing in and getting around are going to be 2 different things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have just 3 minutes to go here, so that we are coming into the last section of this race. Jersey Glack down the order. He's going to finish last in pro, but nah, you know, he's still going to pick up a fistful of points. And like I said, it all goes towards his championship. He's on the back of Christian. Ooh, Jersey! You see how close he was then to that wall? Oh, he's going for it. Oh, wow! I mean, we're talking feeler gauge. I mean, to put it bluntly, I didn't see any daylight with him in the wall. You see it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was close. He's obviously trying. He doesn't want to give up. He's not going to just let these guys have their spots. He wants Christian Furs. He wants a spot off Christian Furs, so he's going to want it off Tom Mustakis as well. There's a good little race here for what will be third place in the championship, or third place on track, sorry.
Andrew, he's looking to make a move here.
He had a little look, but he wasn't close enough.
Yeah, and that really compromised his exit to that corner there and allowed Taylor to get away from him again.
And then James Howard is all over the back as well. James just...
No, James.
No. Don't do it. No good will come of it if you do.
Taylor really put a healthy gap between himself and Andrew there on that whole last section of the track, really. So it's going to be a tall order for Andrew to get back there now in, what, 1, maybe 2 laps.
Yeah, he's got to find something from somewhere, hasn't he? I think so.
Yeah, we're looking at potentially 2 laps to go here. So he is digging though. This is one of those, I know Andrew wants it really bad, but like I mentioned, you know, at some point in race 1, this is one of those tracks where the harder you try, harder you drive the car, the slower you're going to be. He's really just got to be able to to hit his marks. That's the best thing he can do to try and pick the time back up, because you're not going to gain it back by overdriving the corners or driving it in a little deep or picking the throttle up a little too early. All those things are just, all they're going to do is let Taylor get further and further away.
Well, that is it. I think that is absolutely it. We have actually crossed the line, and and then it's it. We're done. Taylor Lane has decided he's going to bin it, but we have just crossed the line, and that is race over.
Oh yeah.
Andrew Hewson finishes in second. Taylor Lane manages to get the job done and finish in first, and then it comes across as it was before. Tom Mustakas, Christian Furs, and Jersey.
Oh my God, Tom!
Tom is going for some sort of award. As well. Okay, we're testing the physics out now, and nice work there, guys. So let's have a little look at what happened here. Tom Mustakas goes up the hill, just straight on. Where are we going? There's a jump. Send it. Keeps going up the hill. Keeps sending it. And then just decides to pick a nice object down there, and that's it. Well, that is your race 2, and I've been trying to work out points everything as we go, and it is 13 points between them. But let's just give you your results. Taylor Lane, Andrew Hewson, James Howard, Tom Mustakas, Christian Furs, Jersey Glack, Daniel Tenorio, Blake Scott, Eric Kalaga, Stephen Martinez, and then in 11th spot was Mark Scott, John Casey, and Michael Kalaga. So that is your results from race 2 of the evening. I want to say it was a really, really good round, and it just proves, I think one thing it's just proven this season, time and time again, you don't need to have big grids. We don't need 50 drivers to have good racing. If anything, the racing we've got here with 13 guys, it's just fantastic. You've got guys on similar pace, championship points, everything like that comes into it, and they are doing absolutely fantastic week in, week out. So I'm super, super impressed with the way these guys are racing. Taylor Lane, why not celebrate with some donuts, man? Seeing him there in the background shot, just making a load of smoke, and he's got every right to do that. He's done well to get it across the line in P1 for that race. And
it's a NASCAR track, do a NASCAR celebration. Why not?
Absolutely, I think it'd be only right to just. I'm sure if we get. Oh, hello. The first thing that's going to happen if Taylor does jump in, he's probably going to say how unpleasant the Porsche is to drive. But you know what? Let's find him and let's get him in here for a chat. Oh, we can't. He's not even in the Discord. Forget it. We're not doing that. We would have liked to have a conversation with Taylor, but he's fortunately. Oh, there he is. There he is. There he is. There. Taylor, are you with me?
Yes, I am.
Well done on your win, mate. So it's.
Thank you.
Is that the first win you've had of the season?
I
No,
want to say second.
Second. Okay. Well, go on, get it out of the way with. Go and have a moan about the Porsche around here, because I can feel it bubbling away that you're going to have a moan about the Porsche handled. Or was it, or did it kind of come good in the second race and it felt okay?
It actually wasn't that bad. The first race, I actually changed the setup last minute.
Oh,
Screwed me over.
what are you doing? What are you doing?
I went back to the first setup that I was running in the second race, and clearly it just worked around here better than the other one.
Nice. Well, I was doing point calculations, everything while race was going on. So you have, at the end of race 1, you've got a 27-point lead of Andrew Houston. That's going to stretch out another 4 points. So it's a 31-point gap. You've got to be fairly confident you've got yourself a stream deck in the bag, haven't you?
It's still all to play for. We've still got one more round left.
Yeah, of course. And if you find a nice firm object and plant your car into it, then I'm sure it's going to leave a bit of a dent in that championship. But no, mate, well done on your win. Well, you're a firstly forward driver, so you'll be competing in Daytona 24. Have you got much planned for that? How many cars are they entering?
So looking like we've got 2 cars. We're down to 2 cars entering now. So we've got one of the LMP2 cars entered, which I'm going to be part of, and we've got a GTD entry, which I believe they're doing it in the Lamborghini. So
nice.
Yeah, we should have a good result there. I don't think we've started practicing yet, but as soon as this weekend's over, we are full steam ahead for practice.
I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably running the ESS races, the 1 hour sprint races at Daytona, and it's a good way of getting practice in, because obviously you have the other elements that when you're out there practicing on your own, the biggest element is obviously the traffic around you, and that's the best way to practice around other people. So wish you the best of luck in that, mate, and hopefully you do well, and best of luck into Sebring, which is the next round, a Wednesday, next Wednesday. So good luck with it, mate. Hopefully you'll get yourself a stream deck in the bag, but I know there's going to be one bloke out there that probably doesn't want that to happen for you. Yeah. So mate, all the best, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. So I think that's it from Sonoma. We've had a fantastic race. We've had absolutely brilliant. We had some ups and downs moments. We had James Howard all 4 wheels off on the agricultural stuff with completely no reason to do it at all. So Daniel Tenorio obviously getting caught up in a first lap reverse grid problem, which, hey, that's part of the championship. Things are going to happen. So great racing, absolutely fantastic. Thank you for joining us this evening, Casey. We wish you a speedy recovery on whatever it is you've got.
Thank you.
And also we're glad to see Rob back as well, because obviously, Rob, you've had a ropey week
and a spell as well. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Nice. So guys, thank you very much. Rob, floor is yours, mate.
Just to say, get ready for the final week at Sebring for the RSRAS, guys. It's going to be a good one, I think. A great way to send season 1 off anyway, after a great season. Like, probably one of the best season openers I've been a witness of.
It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The racing standards, these guys, massive mix of talent. And I mean, you're talking, there's like a 3K split between the bottom driver and the top driver across the championship. And you've got guys like Taylor, nearly 3K, Andrew just under 2K, and they're just out there having a go and setting similar sort of times and pace. And it's just, there's a massive amount of respect. Obviously, racing can be your best friend or your worst enemy all in one afternoon. You can be having the best day of your life, or it can be the day that you just genuinely wish you didn't wake up in the morning. But these guys have just had just good battles, of good races, and they've been really respectful of each other, and really, really pumped for what season 2 is going to bring. And bit of breaking news, we'll put it out here now, that season 2 is not going to be restricted to just American tracks. We're going to open it up, and the calendar, which was decided by the guys in a vote earlier on this week, was released today. And we've got Imola, we've got Daytona Road Course, Spa-Francorchamps, we've got Silverstone, Sebring, Le Mans, Monza. I mean, all the tracks that you want to go to. It's going to be a great season, and if you're watching it and want to take part in it, then just get on us, and we'll get you a seat in whatever GT car you like.
Absolutely. Until next week, though, guys, do take care, do enjoy the rest of your week, and we hope to see you at Sebring.